Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for property where we don't trust, we verify and operate integrity. And today we're diving into a video over again finance with Lawrence Lepard or Larry Lepard, a investor and book writer. And then they're actually talking a lot about this book, Fourth Turning. That's kind of what this is about. And it's not just this book, there's a couple people that have touched on this, and we're going to dive into what that means for us. So stay tuned. All right. I've covered this book before, but more specifically, like I actually read this book, or listened to it, I should say, on. But there's a better example by Ray Dalio, principles, and then he made this video called Changing World Order, and it's basically the exact same thing about how every 20-25 years there's a cyclical cycle that you can kind of earmark and be prepared for. And this is just a playlist I found called The Fourth Turning. I haven't watched all of these, but I've seen it. So anyway, we're going to play this clip from Larry Lepard, and then going to jump into a quote that he made, or a statement about the price of goods that will come in the future, because Bitcoin has no top because fiat has no bottom. And I actually wanted to look historically at items that he listed just for tongue-in-cheek purposes.
Noting that we may have only a few years left before everything completely unravels, here are more clips from the video.
It's amazing to me that nobody in Washington is talking about it. I think they're just pretending it'll go away, or, they won't react until they have to react as a result of the crisis. I mean, I think we're at the end of the 80-year cycle, that started post-World War II, when we had fabulous growth and the United States was on top of the world. And I marked the beginning of this fourth turning as 2008, because that financial crisis really kind of kicked it off, right? I mean, it was huge. It was worldwide. It was significant, and really the financial system nearly failed. And these cycles, they vary in length, and the model's not perfect, but if you look at them, it tends to suggest they last kind of 20 to 25 years. Some are shorter. The Civil War was shorter, although you can argue it started earlier. The point is that if that's the case, that would imply that, we will resolve this cycle sometime late this decade, early in the 2030s. And that kind of feels right to me. I think that, they're going to continue to print money. I think that inflation is going to come back. And I think that as time goes by, more and more people are going to become aware of this as an issue. I mean, we're seeing, people like Elon is aware of it. RFK Jr. is aware of it. He tried to make Trump aware of it. I think he kind of is. I don't know that he knows what to do about it. But the point is that I think.
So yeah, he's mentioning that he believes we're at the end of this cycle for this 20 to 25 year part of Fourth Turning. And the same thing was posted in Neil's book. And then again, Tony Robbins read out. There will be like this changing of the guard, or in the changing world order, it's like a new world power basically takes over to some degree. And don't know what that will be, if that will happen exactly, but I could definitely see something happening with the currencies globally, especially with the ones looking to adopt the Bitcoin Salvador. Then you got BRICS, and then of course you still got the British pound, the euro, the dollar, things of nature. So something could happen at the end of this cycle that leads towards that, and that also lines up with Raoul Powell's everything code thesis that they got to just keep kicking the can down the road and servicing the debt. And there's no other way to do it besides have the system blow up, or set the someone else comes in, or whatever the case may be. So we're gonna get to this next clip that he's talking about. This was actually talking about hyperinflation, and how all fiat currencies basically go to zero. And it was just showing history of a few, but I'm not gonna go. You can look this up, and I did videos on this before. That eventually all fiat currencies go to zero, and they all last about 100 years. So depending on when you want to start the US dollar reign, Preacher from Jekyll Isle book, and when the Federal Reserve was created over the 100-year mark, or look at it when we went off the gold reserve and still have another 20 years or so left from either way. We're nearing the end of that cycle as well.
I think that, it's going to become clear that the money is broken, as the title of Lynn's book. And as that becomes more and more clear, I think that, we'll start to look for solutions. And it could be a monetary reset. That's what Roosevelt did in the 30s. It could be, a slow transition, a gradual transition, hopefully a painless transition to a more sound money system. I'm not sure if, it's going to take real skill and real political leadership to pull that off, but it's possible. I think the alternative to that is we're just going to keep driving the car as fast as we can until something blows up. And, they have the big print where, the Fed balance sheet, if you've noticed, is kind of, pre-08, it was at 800 million, 800, 900, I'm sorry, billion. 08 kicked it off and Bernanke grew it up almost to, 4 trillion. Then they brought it back down a little bit, and then COVID hit and they took it up to 9 trillion, brought it back down to 7. I mean, the next one, in my view, takes us to 25. And, the good news is we might all end up being millionaires. The bad news is gasoline might be $20 a gallon and a hamburger is going to cost $100. I mean, that's kind of the way we're going.
And that's the tongue-in-cheek reference I wanted to actually look at, because when he mentioned that, I was like, damn, $25 for a burger, gas $100. I was like, is that even possible? And that made me think. I got my entrepreneurial journey kickstarted in the traditional workforce back in the late 90s at McDonald's. So I was like, let's look at the cost of a burger over the years and then compare it to what it would cost actually in Bitcoin. So we have this chart that I showed before. It shows home price. It shows you, of course, in Bitcoin it's getting cheaper, but I've never seen anything for something like a burger, right? So I decided to kind of dig out some old images. And this one's from the 1960s. I wasn't around then, but you can see they're super cheap, no value meals. Big Macs were 65 cents. Large fry was 46 cents, call it 50. Brink down here was 20 cents. That's a small and a large. So I'm going to show you the numbers on a spreadsheet, but super cheap back in the 60s. And I remember this, because like I said, I worked at McDonald's 90s. First legitimate job. I was hustling before that, but that was my first legit job. And I remember the $2.99 because it was literally $3.21 with tax. I remember it because off all the time to people at the register for checking out. And that was the price for Big Mac. And I believe the Big Mac by itself, not the meal, was $1.99. It could. I remember this 39 cents supersize. Now, those were the days. And then we have this image, which is from 2010. A little hard to read, but it's like $5.69, $5.89, and $3.09 for the Big Mac meal. And then we jump to 2024, and we see it's gone to $5.79 and $9.19. That lines up with this price or what they show here. So I decided to, put this into a spreadsheet, of course, to take a look at it. So they didn't have the Big Mac meal, but I just added up the items on the menu. And then from 1960 to 1990 is basically a 200 to 300% increase. $2.99 to $1.99. Then into 2010, it was another 200% on the meal, 105% on burger. And then fast forward, here we are at $9.19 and $5.79. So I decided to take 150% increase in the next 10 years, theoretically. And that would put us at $13.79. So not quite the $25 burger he's talking about, but who the heck knows? Like if they do something like they did during COVID, then it could jump tremendously if they end up inflating the debt that much. I'm sorry, not the debt, but debasing the currency that much. And since they can't even probably service the debt, who knows what happens. But anyway, decided to look at what the price of that meal would be and that burger would be in Bitcoin. So back in 2010, since Bitcoin had just kicked off 2 years prior, it would have been 29.5 Bitcoin, just like the pizza day for Bitcoin. How many Bitcoin that was, like 45 Bitcoin. So yeah, it would have cost you a lot of Bitcoin to get a burger back then. But then again, it was on average, actually ended the year in 2010 at 30 cents and it started around 6 cents. So I just put it at an average of 20 cents. But as you fast forward now, that same Big Mac meal is 14,000 Satoshis or 0.00014 Bitcoin. And the burger only 0.400. So as that gets even higher with Bitcoin's value, of course, it costs less Satoshis. So the moral of the story is that you cannot escape this rat race matrix, this fiat Ponzi. If you're living in that world, like granted, you can get debanked, but most goods and services still require you to use fiat. That means you need to have your money in some sort of hedge against that, so that when you convert it back, you're getting more fiat and you pay services. And this one I forgot to bring up is the gas prices. So on the left hand side, it shows what the gas price is at that year, real gas price, and then this is the adjusted for inflation value all the way back historically. So we go back to 2008, gas at $3.20, and then it got pretty cheap. Got to the twos for a couple of years. This is the average U.S. gas price, but now here we are at almost $5 a gallon. So could we be at $25 or $100? I don't think we'll be at $100 in 2030s, but we're definitely trending upward. Depends on actually who's president, right? Because drill gets his way, then maybe we start to see prices again. Not all of that is doom and gloom, but the moral of the story is stack your Satoshis. And this is the website, price of good in Satoshis. So start trying to reconcile and understand the value of Satoshis and what that means in regards to securing your wealth against currency debasement. All right, that's all I got. Smash that HBO special, help a brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, live and achieve your impossible.
Want to pay your in real life bills with crypto? How about send crypto directly to anyone with a bank account? Spritz Finance is a decentralized solution to be your own bank and connect your crypto earnings to real world bills and payments. They do not take custody of your assets and allow support on multiple blockchains and Web3 wallets. Sign up below using my referral link and you will get $50 back when you make your first $50 bill payment with crypto. Additionally, I will be using referral bonuses to airdrop, donate, or burn based on community feedback. Sign up now.